Another day, another story. Authorities say at least 18 people are injured after a Delta Airlines plane flipped upside down while landing amid wintry conditions Monday at Toronto Pearson International Airport. The Federal Aviation Administration says 80 people were aboard Flight 4819, which originated from Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. Welcome to Tabo Eminent Channel. According to Deborah Flint, President and CEO of Toronto Pearson International Airport, the plane was carrying 4 crew and 76 passengers, among them, 22 Canadians. The other passengers were multinational. Airport emergency workers mounted a textbook response, reaching the site within minutes and quickly evacuating the passengers, Flint said during a news conference Monday night. She added that 17 passengers had been taken to local area hospitals. Peel Regional Paramedic Services initially classified 2 adults and 1 child as being in critical condition. The Hospital for Sick Children said a pediatric patient it received is now in good condition. The rest of the injuries are minor to moderate, officials said. The critically injured adults, a woman in her 40s and a man in his 60s, were airlifted to the hospital, according to Air Ambulance Service officials. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada confirmed it is deploying a team to investigate the accident. The National Transportation Safety Board and FAA say they will send U.S. investigators to assist the TSB in its investigation. Toronto Pearson International Airport Fire Chief Todd Aitken said Monday night that the runway was dry and there were no crosswind conditions at the time of the crash. Flint says 2 runways at the airport will be closed for at least part of the day Tuesday for the investigation, and travelers should expect delays. Delta Airlines later released more information, saying the single aircraft accident occurred around 1:15 p.m. CST. 4 of the people on board were crew members. Delta says all of its remaining flights on Monday going in and out of Pearson are cancelled. The hearts of the entire global Delta family are with those affected by today's incident, said Ed Bastian, CEO of Delta Airlines. The Association of Flight Attendants CWA issued the following statement. AFA crew were working this flight. Reports are there are no fatalities. Please do not speculate on this incident as everyone works to gather information and support those involved. Ontario Premier Doug Ford said he is relieved there are no casualties. Provincial officials are in contact with the airport and local authorities and will provide any help that's needed, Ford said. Meteorologists say that there was blowing snow in Toronto and visibility was down to 6 miles at the time of the incident, with winds at 20 miles per hour and gusts up to 37 miles per hour. Temperatures were well below freezing, at 17 degrees Fahrenheit. The flight was operated by Endeavour Air, a wholly owned subsidiary of Delta Airlines, which is headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Monday's incident occurred just weeks after a deadly mid-air collision between an American Airlines plane and an Army Black Hawk helicopter at Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. Officials said everyone on both aircraft perished. 2 days later, a Lear medical jet crashed into a Philadelphia neighborhood, killing all 6 passengers and 1 person who was on the ground. All 80 passengers and crew survived. Delta Flight 4819, operated by Delta subsidiary Endeavour Air, departed from Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport and crashed at the Toronto airport around 2:15 p.m. ET Monday, Delta said in a statement. No fatalities were reported as of Monday evening, but both Delta Airlines and Toronto Airport Fire Chief Todd Aitken said 18 people were injured. A child was among the injured but is in good condition, the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto said. Some of the passengers who were hospitalized have been released, Delta said. The hearts of the entire global Delta family are with those affected by today's incident at Toronto Pearson International Airport, said Delta CEO Ed Bastian. I want to express my thanks to the many Delta and Endeavour team members and the first responders on site. Deborah Flint, the president and CEO of Toronto Pearson International Airport, also credited the textbook response of first responders for helping prevent loss of life. Hard landing left passengers upside down hanging like bats. Pete Kukov, a passenger on the Delta plane, said he didn't know anything was the matter until they hit the ground. which he described as a hard landing. We hit the ground, and we were sideways, and then we were upside down hanging like bats, Kukov told CNN's Brianna Kilar. Images showed the plane flipped upside down with its wheels in the air on a snowy runway. The pilot of a medical helicopter in the area described the aircraft as upside down and burning. Kukov said he was able to unbuckle his seatbelt, push himself to the ground and then walk out of the plane, but some others needed help getting down from their seats. Just feeling lucky and happy I got to give the person I didn't know sitting next to me a big hug, that we were okay, and see my friends who are here to pick me up from the airport and give them a big hug, he said. John Nelson, another passenger aboard the flight, said, "It's amazing that we're still here. When we hit, it was just a super hard, it hit the ground, and the plane went sideways," Nelson said, adding that he saw a big fireball out of the left side of the plane. He described a scene of mass chaos as passengers tried to unbuckle themselves and exit the plane. "We tried to get out of there as quickly as possible," Nelson said. "Even now I smell like jet fuel." Peter Goles, a CNN aviation analyst and former National Transportation Safety Board managing director, said the Bombardier CRJ-900, the aircraft that crashed, was built to take a hard hit upon landing, enabling the quick evacuation of passengers and crew. Canadian and U.S. authorities are investigating the cause of the crash. The crash occurred on a gusty day in Canada's largest city following heavy snowfall, but the runway was dry and there were no crosswind conditions, Aitken, the airport fire chief said. Winds of 32 miles per hour with gusts of 40 miles per hour were blowing at Pearson Monday, blowing snow into the air, with a visibility of 5 miles. 2 runways at Toronto Pearson will remain closed for the rest of tonight and into the next several days, while an investigation takes place, the airport's CEO said. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada is leading the investigation, with help from the National Transportation Safety Board in the U.S. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said on X that Federal Aviation Administration investigators are on their way to Toronto, and he has been in touch with his counterpart in Canada. Members of Endeavour Air's leadership team, including CEO Jim Graham, are also on their way to Toronto to cooperate with investigators, Delta said in a statement. Situation, messed up, passenger in airport, says Barb Fraser, a passenger who wasn't on the plane but was in the airport, said she started her trip home to Vancouver from a gymnastics tournament Sunday morning, but her flight was cancelled because of weather. Then she lost her luggage. "Have you seen luggage in Terminal 1 and Terminal 4? There is luggage everywhere," she said. Now on day 2 of her travels home, she called it an unfortunate accident on the runway. "No one is getting any answers yet as far as the situation goes. It's pretty dire, so it's not great," Fraser said, adding the situation is messed up and going to take weeks for the airport to recover. Farrow, who has been trying to get to a beach in Cuba since earlier Monday, said, "But what's happened has happened. Like everyone else, we are just trying to survive here, trying to have fun. It's boring, you have to stay hours here. But," Farrow said, "we have to be thankful for the people who survived." Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel.